The governor proposed in his budget, we'll see where he proposed about $2.4 million for body cameras for all law enforcement in Delaware. But if you look closer into the budget, either in the Attorney General or in the Office of Defense Services, you'll note an additional $2 million for staffing, because the hardware is not expensive. What's expensive is the people that are going to spend the time reviewing the cameras, looking at what's going on, and the ability to save that data from those cameras. And so that's going to be an ongoing expense. I think what surprised me this year was there wasn't a lot of ask by the different agencies. Agencies come in and they didn't have many things that weren't recommended, or they were being very much the team player in funding for this year. So while we heard from them, it was almost like you were really having to ask them, did you have anything that you needed that you didn't ask for? I think a lot of that may come from the CARES Act funding. We've got a lot of federal assistance last year that people tend to forget about. Under the Trump administration, there was a lot of relief for Medicaid payments for Delaware to the tune of about $12 million. There were a lot of other funds that came in, and these agencies are getting that funds, and they're using that currently in the programs. I think for some of us, the fear is when this program money is gone, what will next year look like? It's difficult with Zoom to read the people's faces that you cannot even see. It's difficult to go through public comment when you cannot see, they cannot share with you. It's been the best we can do, I guess, under the conditions, but it very much changed, to some extent, the process for joint finance hearings. Delaware's spending is divided three different ways: the general fund, which is what we call the budget, then the bond or capital spending, which is for the improvements that you see, buildings, roads, and other projects, and then grant and aid, which is how the state funds, for instance, the county, a certain amount of the county seat, our fire and emergency service departments. But there's a whole lot of not-for-profits that get money from the state for the jobs they do, and many of them do a job much better than the state could ever do it. They're much more lean in what they do and how they do it, and we value them. But some of them have been getting money for a very long time, and we don't really know if they're that effective, if we're getting the value. Some of them have some executive directors with very high salaries. So we need a committee, a separate committee that can really take a look and make the recommendations back to Joint Finance for the Grant and Aid Committee. It's a process now handled by the Joint Finance Committee, but I think it could be a little bit better defined with a more deeper dive into what we're doing and how we're doing that. So while we've ended our formal discussions and presentations in Joint Finance, what we do now is we go back and we look at our notes, and I'm making a list of things where I think we could either reduce cost or go ahead and shift fund to how we're funding and increase funding in areas. One area many people has talked about is that our Delaware pensioners haven't received an increase in their pension in years. We've also had multiple requests from other agencies, particularly those who have direct care personnel seeking at least $15 an hour. We have a lot of things to look at, so it's putting that list together. One of the things for me to do is talk with my colleagues, share the information that we learned on Joint Finance, get their ideas and thoughts on preferences, so that when we come back to actually start craft the budget, we can work through things.